All right, welcome everyone to our Miami Sudbury School Diploma Defense for Alejandra Gonzalez. And welcome to everyone that is on Zoom from all around the world. Do we have family in Colombia? We do. And a panel member and board member in Johannesburg, South Africa, who is with us. So we're very excited. And a thank you to Daria, who is one of our amazing parents. And if you're in the Sudbury team, you know her from the Sudbury School in Moscow. She is moderating the Zoom. So thank you very much for doing that. So if you have chats and comments and stuff, Daria will handle that. So we usually start our school meetings with the mission statement, and since Alejandra has been our school meeting chair for so many years, she has it memorized, and will start us off with our Miami Sudbury School mission statement.
The Miami Sudbury School is a K-12 democracy where young people have human and civil rights. We give the time and space for young people to learn who they are, what they like, and how to achieve their goals while working authentically within a mixed-age community based on respect, responsibility, and self-direction.
Great. So most folks are, I think, familiar with the Sudbury model of education, right? The model that really prioritizes human and civil rights for young people. As Ale said in our mission statement, we take that very seriously. We think that young people should get to practice being the authors of their own lives. And as such, we try to make our diploma process reflect that. So for those who don't know, and those joining us on Zoom, the way that we approach a diploma at the Miami Sudbury School, every Sudbury school is a little bit different, as it should be, right? We're not robots, and we're not following a formula. But how we flesh this out is our students who are in the equivalent of high school join the diploma club if they want to get a diploma. We don't force that. And that's, again, goes back to those human and civil rights. They have the right of choice. So they can choose to join the diploma club when they're in the equivalent of high school. And as part of that, they meet and support each other, their interests. And they'll also do a few stepping stone projects along the way. So those are projects of their choosing. And if you're coming to the showcase next weekend, which I hope folks will be doing, you'll see some of their stepping stone projects. So they'll choose those. And in that stepping stone project, they also then choose a panel of advisors, but that's usually a little more informal. Maybe it's their friends or staff members that they would choose. They also, each semester, put together a transcript of the skills that they feel like they have been developing, they have been working on. You can see Alejandra's transcript, which was the second semester. The semester was just approved yesterday at school meeting on the table outside, and we can send it to folks who are remote as well. It's really fun, and it's a community verified one. So she brought her transcript. We all looked at it. We asked her questions. We see that that seems to match with what we see you doing, right? Or if you've something you've been working at home, then we'll ask, well, tell us more about what you've been doing. And even people will say, well, haven't you also been working on this? And she said, yeah, but just a little bit. I didn't want to put it in my transcript, So obviously they're all doing even more than you're going to see on paper, but it's nice to have that as well. Another piece that Alejandra sponsored to add to the diploma process is that now our high schoolers will also be asked to be community ambassadors as part of the diploma process. So Alejandra has just been doing that for years, showing up at open houses and events to be a spokesperson for the school. People mostly want to talk to her, not me. She's cooler, it's just true. They want the student perspective. And so she, as a parting gift to her fellow high schoolers, so that needs to continue with everyone who's there. Another part of the diploma process, of course, is that students have to be really in good standing. So they need to be model citizens in our community. And then their final year, the community asks a student to complete a capstone project. So hopefully everyone here and on Zoom got a copy of Alejandra's beautiful capstone paper that she wrote. That was her choice. She could have done lots of things. In fact, she thought about a podcast for a while and decided on a research paper. She told me this was her first research paper that she's ever written. I think she knocked it out of the park. I used to be a high school English teacher. I think I made fewer suggestions on that than any I've ever looked at. And some of them were really just translation issues, which is really cool. So she did this capstone to give everyone a sense of, her journey. So hopefully you've read it. If not, we actually have a few copies here that you can take a look at and take home with you. And then this is her defense. So here we are in the diploma process. So what that really means, and it's funny, we're in a karate studio and she's doing a defense. It's gonna get physical. This is her opportunity to have questions from our larger community here. So for those who on Zoom who can't see us, we have board members here. We're back. Should I wait? Okay. We have board members here. We have parents, grandparents, cousins, community members, so our voting members and staff. We also have wonderful filmmakers who are here that are recording to be able to promote. One of them was a staff member our very first year before she went off to film school. So this really feels like a wonderful opportunity for us to be community, right? It's such a gift, especially today. Right? How many of us are really looking for community? And we really work to do that. So as a community, we get to ask Alejandra a whole bunch of questions. The typical question that Sudbury students answer, sort of at large in their, so other schools do a defense a little bit differently. They might have staff from other Sudbury schools. I've done that I've been a visiting staff at other Sudbury schools for defenses. Typically the question that we all want to know is, how has your Sudbury experience, how has your Sudbury education prepared you to be an effective young adult in the world, right? That's the big idea, right? You get to practice being a person. So now, do you feel like a person? that can really go out beyond our community into the wider community. So, hopefully that will come out. So I'll moderate a Q&A. You can just ask questions, and folks who are on Zoom, maybe just say your question out loud. I'm not sure how I'll see your hand. Maybe I'll look and see if I can see your hand raised. So we're going to do a Q&A session. At the end of the Q&A session, I'll let you know when we're about to wrap up, you'll get one of these. We'll hand these out, and you'll scan a QR code to fill out an evaluation on what your impressions are. Alejandra wants feedback. She's a Sudbury student. She wants some feedback. So you'll get to give your feedback, and then you'll answer whether you think, from what you've read and what you've heard, you feel like she's indeed earned a Sudbury Diploma. Where we take these evaluations, and on Monday, as a school, we will review them. We also know her pretty well. This is her 4th year. Yeah, her 4th year at the Miami Sudbury School. We're so lucky. So then we will, as a community, we will vote whether we believe she has earned her diploma. And if so, we will award that diploma as a community at our showcase event on Saturday. So you didn't come here to hear me talk, you came here to hear Alejandra. So without further ado, questions for Alejandra. You want to introduce yourself?
Okay. So I'm Alejandra. I've been at Sudbury for 4 years. My high school years. Before joining, I was in a public school. It was kind of a bad school. I didn't know English or much English. I only understood. I could not communicate clearly with people, which was really frustrating and really affected my learning journey. So I'm 18. I hope I can answer your questions, like anything you want to ask.
Logan.
What is a school meeting? Okay, so I talked about it in my paper. School meeting is the heart of the school. So since now we have a rotation system, each 2 weeks, a new person gets a position of school meeting. And what they have to do is facilitate the meetings, right? So they facilitate morning meeting, school meeting, and in the case during those 2 weeks they're in the position, there's a special all-school meeting, then they'll facilitate that one. School meeting is basically where everyone just brings up proposals, concerns, just topics of discussion, major things that need the community's like input, I guess, like they need to be aware of it. If there's a big change, like there's budget proposals, there's now a weekly financial review we do. People can bring like things they may want to buy, like a committee or a club may need, they can bring it there. School meeting also helps figuring out like, for example, like there's a concern that has escalated from RJC to school meeting, which is something bigger. School meeting usually tries to keep it in-house and solve it in the school. So school meeting is kind of the last resort for that, which is really nice. So it's basically heart of school. Before the rotation system, I was a school meeting chair. I was for 2.5 years, I think. And I enjoyed my time there, like in that position so much. It was really nice. I feel like I learned a lot from it. It was stressful from time to time because people can be a little hard to handle. But I think everyone at Sudbury really gave me the space to grow. I feel like as school meeting chair while I was holding that position. But yeah.
The question is, how do you decide what to learn and what to...
I think it really comes from within me, like whatever I'm interested in the moment, or for example, I love learning languages. I enjoy it so much. I feel like when coming here and starting to learn English, and once I learned it, I was like, wow, I cannot believe I lived 14 years of my life just knowing one language, just thinking in one language, right? It was like, I felt it was incredibly boring. So I was like, I need to learn more after learning English. So I went on to trying to learn Japanese during my first year at Sudbury. Did not work out. I yet didn't know how I learned languages. So I kind of gave up on it. I tried another few Italian and ASL. But I still didn't know how I wanted to learn it. So with other things, I've just like things that interested me, like I just go and look for a book or look on internet about this. A lot of like video essays, a lot of just articles I see. That I just need to satisfy my curiosity. So it's just that curiosity that comes from within me. I just feel the need to satisfy it. So that's how I know I want to learn that, and that's how I kind of spent my time. There's academic stuff, but there's also stuff that I've learned. A lot of my own is working with clay. I enjoy working with clay a lot. I don't do it at school because it can be messy, but I do it at home. I like to read a lot. I've been I had a salon for a while, but I'm kind of coming back to it. I enjoy, even if it's like not academic kind of books, but just stories that I find like captivating. Yeah, and then going back to languages, I started learning Portuguese last year, almost a year ago, unintentionally. So I just started listening to music and consuming content in Portuguese. And then I kind of, after a few weeks, I realized I could understand and like read a little bit. I was like, oh, this is fun. So I'm gonna actually try paying more attention, like reading the lyrics, like reading articles, reading stuff, and watching with subtitles. And so now I can understand Portuguese. I can talk a little bit. I'm not fluent, but I can definitely understand people and communicate in Portuguese. So I'm halfway through my journey of being fluent in Portuguese. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been here you've been at Sudbury for 4 years. You came in a little like on the shyer side.
Yeah.
Being like a really like a leader in the community. Like, what have you? And this, you can answer this specifically or broadly. Like, can you talk about like one of the bigger challenges of being like a community leader and how you look back on it and how you've come out of it?
Ooh, I feel one of the two biggest challenges for me is receiving critique or like feedback. I dislike feedback so much. Like whenever I received feedback in school, it felt like it was being imposed. Like, okay, so you did this wrong, so you got to do it this way. You know, it kind of like was like I didn't like it. So when I got here, and when I got the position like of school meeting chair, was when Kristen started to like pull me from, like when we finished the school meeting, she started just saying, hey, can we talk? And it was, I mean, at the moment I did not really think it was like feedback. It was just a chat. So it felt really nice to talk about her, like about the things I could improve, right? You know, how fast I like facilitate, you know, like maybe just changing my tone and stuff like that. So that is one of the things that I thought it was the hardest, like receiving feedback. But being here really like allowed me to see how important it is to receive feedback, to just grow and be better. Which I think is like a lot of people just don't like to receive that, and that's why they're kind of, yeah. And the other one was that whenever I felt like, whenever I had to do my job, you know, like there was someone doing something they were not supposed to do, you gotta tell them, hey, can you not do this? You know, it is not allowed school, you know, like running or like playing or yelling or whatever. It was awkward for me because before in my old school, I was bossy. So I was learning how to be a leader, not a boss. So I was scared people were gonna see me as a boss for telling you, no, don't do that, you know? So I was like, I had the feeling of everyone's gonna hate me for telling them, you cannot do that, right? Or you cannot say that, or play, or whatever. So I think that was the hardest, you know, like learning that doing my job doesn't mean I'm a bad person, or that if someone doesn't like me because of it, then I mean, I guess, dude, that's kind of your problem. Yeah. So I think those were the two. Oh, there's another one actually. It's kind of letting people help me. And I wrote that on my paper, is I felt like had to do everything on my own, right? So there was a while, and specifically when we were moving from Fairchild Garden to the Elks and stuff like that, there was a lot of changing of rules and stuff, and like carrying materials. So you had to keep up with a lot, and it was really frustrating for me. But I kept that inside, and I did not express. I did not ask for help. So there was a point I was so close to just stepping down from school meeting, because I was like, I'm so done. I cannot do this. And then I started like receiving like more help, and that's kind of like allowed me to really keep a position for another few years. So discovering like asking for help does not make me weak, or does not mean I'm like useless, right? In the contrary, it can really help me improve and grow. and not make my life like a burden and like my tasks. Yeah.
We have a question on Zoom from Yana. She asks, at most schools, a graduating student would tend to pick a project that they already know well, that they already know that they can do well at. You chose to explore a new skill that you felt unsure of at the time. Can you speak to that choice? Do you feel this approach to education has something to do with that choice?
I think Sudbury has to do a lot with that. And one of the reasons I chose writing is because I was going to do the podcast. It did not turn out well. It was really frustrating. I started the idea of doing a podcast with a full idea of, this is going to like just work like that, right? I did not know how to set a microphone. I did not know I had to like kind of had scripts and stuff. Talking to a microphone, just listening back, it was so awkward. I did not like it. And the thought of just people listening to me like that, it was horrible. So I started like thinking back on writing, but I was scared of writing because I don't consider myself good at writing. Well, like writing is my forte. And more if it's in English. So I was scared of that. But I also thought that I wanted to challenge myself. Since I felt bad for giving up on the podcast, I was like, I need something. I need to challenge myself a little bit. So I felt like writing was the thing I needed. Because also before coming here, there were a lot of people, teachers and like people around me who told me that I could be good at writing. Like if I only worked on it, I could be good at it. I was like, this might be fun. And the other like thing why I decided to write it is because I could translate it so much easier. So I want to translate it to Spanish, and possibly Portuguese and whichever other language I learn in the future. So if I could translate a podcast, but that would be a lot. So just translating a paper is so much easier, and I feel like it could reach more people, that not only know English, because as a person who can hear, not knowing English, it's straight into like a chemistry class in English, which I have never had like even a chemistry class in Spanish. So I was like, so I wish I had more material in Spanish, or like a person that could guide me a little bit more. So I think having that, something that I wrote, translated, is so much easier, and it could like help a lot more people that don't speak English.
So I see that your capstone project is very impressive. It's a huge paper and it's well written. And I work at a Sudbury school, so I see a lot of students, their capstone projects and stuff. I'm curious how much you think that Miami Sudbury School is responsible for the person you've become and the skills you have. Like, how have things been different for you because you came here? And like, what role has the school played in becoming the person you are?
Actually, I think a lot. I think for example, like what I say, like feedback, it has like really made me understand that I need that to grow, and I'll need that in college. I'll need that in my workplace. Because if I really don't allow myself to let other people like express what they think, right? Either if I'm like, one day I'm a boss of someone, right? If I don't allow them to just express how they feel, how I'm doing my work, right? And I just shut them down, I'm a horrible person, right? And that's one of the things I learned here, is that shutting down people is just not going to do anything, like not for you and not for them. I think also in the sense of like, of course, self-direction and responsibility, I can say I struggle with that a lot. I get distracted a lot. There's like days I can just go on and talk, which is like people at school, instead of doing what I have to do. Or I said, today I'm going to do that, but then I get sidetracked. So, for example, the paper was a clear like challenge for me of I have to sit and I have to write and I have to put my thoughts into coherent like words in a paper, right? So I think the school has like kind of allowed me to recognize those like weaknesses I have, right? Of like for like focusing on something and like doing it in that moment and not let it like, oh, I can do that later. I can do this right now. Because I mean, I could, but there's also like that sense of like responsibility, right? Like no one's gonna do it for me. There was no one at school telling me, oh, have you written? No. Like it was like maybe questions of, how's that doing? How's the project doing? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I've written, but I don't know how I feel about it. So I feel like it has really allowed me to realize that if I don't take control over my decisions or over what I do, no one will. And I will not get anywhere if I don't take control over those things, right? So I think that's kind of the biggest thing of I gotta do what I want to do, right? And if I want to get somewhere, I have to do it like not all by myself because, like I said, I can allow people to help me, but I have to be the first one to give the step, right, to get there. I don't know if that answered your question. Okay, thank you. Carlos. Thank you.
Question from Carlos, one of our board members.
First of all, I loved reading your paper. It was magnificent.
Thank you.
And it's really also amazing to hear your responses. Wow. I'm curious, you mentioned languages, and I'm wondering what do you see next in terms of the passions that you've developed and the curiosity that you've been feeding over the last 4 years? Where do you see those curiosities going? If you could sort of have like a little crystal ball that you would have control over at this point, sort of,
yeah,
what would it look like? And how does Sudbury carry on with you in that sense?
I think I for starters, like with languages, I think one of the best ways of learning them, for like at least for me, is immersion. So I want to travel a lot. I plan on going to Brazil to like just finishing off Portuguese, and also Japan because I'm trying to learn Japanese. And it is not an easy language, so I feel like going there will like really allow me to fully like surround myself in the language. I plan on maybe just with the skills with my years here at Sudbury, I understand pretty well the concept. I understand pretty well the school and how Sudbury schools work. So I plan on just volunteering or perhaps working in some other that will allow me to be in different countries and learn different languages. I feel like Sudbury has like really allowed me to dream, to say, oh, you want to do that? Then go ahead, do it. We'll be there if you need help. So I think it has like really kind of opened my eyes into like, do whatever you want, like there are going to be like a few things you're going to like struggle with, but that's just life. That just happens, right? So I think with that, it will really like allow me to travel, because I feel like traveling, it's a little bit harder because I'm going to be away from a lot of people like I know, from a lot of comfort, right? So I think Sudbury has really pushed me to go like approach those challenges, right? No, with like being like not being scared or like distant, but just like embrace them, right? So really take control over them and not let them take control over you. I don't know. I don't really know what I want to study. So as for now, I just feel like languages is like something I really enjoy. I've been really getting into philosophy. So I've been like listening and like, kind of reading. I'm trying to read Plato, like the Republic, which is not easy. It's really difficult to understand. But I'm trying to like get into it. I don't want to pursue as a career because I feel like if I do philosophy, I'm gonna go crazy. But I do wanna learn it because there's a lot of people who just express their thoughts, right? They just have such a crazy way of thinking that just reading and like kind of understanding at least a little bit of how they think, I just find that fascinating. So I enjoy that a lot. Volleyball, I used to play volleyball a lot. I hope I can get into and like maybe travel a lot with it, like play. But yeah, so as I like keep traveling and like, you know, discovering more stuff, I really hope I can discover more of myself, more of the things I enjoy doing and what I will, at the end of the day, enjoy like doing for the rest of my life as a job.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Good luck.
We have another question from Yana on Zoom. Yana, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. So one of the things that you wrote was that one of the reasons that you chose this project was because most of the writing about Sudbury schools and this form of education has been done by adults, and you wanted to give more of a perspective from the inside. And it's quite a work that you've done there. Many people would just stop there and say, okay, I've been there, I've done that. That's great. I've had enough of that now. Is that how you're feeling about it? Or do you think you might follow through a couple of further steps for official publication so that it can go out to the world? Would you like to speak to that a little bit?
I feel that would make me really happy if there's a world or a possibility of that being published. I definitely don't feel like, oh, I'm done with it. It's done. There's a lot I was expressing earlier today of how I feel like I could have maybe done a little bit more, which they told me maybe, but maybe what you did was just right. So I definitely feel like if there's a possibility of me like working on it a little bit more, making it better, improving it, and make it even like reach more people outside of like Sudbury, like the Sudbury community of like this school, like other Sudbury schools, but to people who are even like doing other kind of alternative schooling or just traditional. I feel kind of that's my goal of it. Like the more people it reaches, I just at least I hope that when they read it and when they're done, they can at least reconsider a little bit of like traditional schooling, you know? They think, oh, that's kind of a messed up system. Why aren't we supporting it, right? So, yes, and what you said about like young people not being usually the ones to speak about this, I think that's kind of one of the things I forgot to mention. But yeah, like you remind me. That's kind of another thing that kind of pushed me into like not a lot of people talk about this, like not a lot of like students or people who have experienced it, unless they're being like, you know, like asked for surveys of stuff. So I think if you really like see it from the perspective of someone who has experienced it for a while, firsthand, not a staff, not an adult, but a young person, I feel they can give you a more kind of realistic answer of what it is, at least for them, being a Sudbury student.
Liz?
Yes.
Thank you. How do you feel that those things that you've tried that haven't worked out, like learning Japanese the first time, like doing the podcast, what have you learned from those situations, and what can you bring to bear next time that you try something new that will help you be more successful?
That's a great question. I think, for example, with Japanese, the reason, okay, so I explained a little bit. The reason why I wanted to learn Japanese is because thinking in more than one language is really cool. So I was like, oh, what if 3 is a thing? And I started like just going with it without actually knowing the language, right? So in writing, just hiragana, katakana, and kanji, which is like just different, all of them are different characters. So I just started going into it without knowing what they were. And it's a really like important thing, you know what those are. So I went into it without actually having done kind of a research, right, about the language, about the culture, about stuff. And for the podcast, it's the reason I went into just thinking I was going to get it right away, in the first try. I was trying to be a perfectionist, which I learned being a perfectionist kills the soul. So, I realized with this paper, this is not going to be perfect. I'm going to receive feedback. They're like, you can change this. There's not going to be like grammar, punctuation kind of errors and stuff. So one of the least things I wanted to be thinking while writing is, this is going to be perfect. Like, has to be perfect. Like, I was like, no, it will not. Like, forget about that. You're not perfect. What are you going to do is not perfect. You can try your best, right? You can definitely put a lot of effort into it, and that's kind of like what matters, right? As long as I knew I did, like, I put effort into it and I was true to myself while writing it, was kind of what mattered. So I think while I like try new things, I start trying more like languages or like just different classes and stuff in college. I feel like I have to be more open-minded into I may fail a test, and that's okay. Like the grade does not define how smart or like dumb I am, right? Also, that I'm gonna have to ask for help to the professor or to whoever is around me. That I'm not gonna be perfect. That what my works are not gonna be perfect, right? So I just need to stop putting that unrealistic, like, how do you say that? Yes, on myself, right? Because I'm easy to like realize people are not perfect, right? So like if you mess up, that's okay, like you can do it another time, you can try it again. But when it comes to me, I'm a little bit more like, you gotta make it right. So yeah, and going back to Japanese, now that I know how to learn languages the best, now that I've done my research about Japanese, now that with Portuguese also helped me, like watching and reading and listening really, really helps me learn. It's just immersion. So now understanding how I will be able to learn Japanese, I can be more calm about it, right? I don't have to hurry. I don't have to learn in like a year because that's impossible, right? I don't have a deadline to learn Japanese. So I'm just doing it because I want, because I just want to satisfy my curiosity. So those things, I think, I don't know if it answers your question. Okay, thank you.
Question from Zoom from Brain. The question is, your paper was very inspiring to read. In one of your paragraphs, you address students and suggest that they should take initiative and claim their right to a freer type of schooling. Can you imagine a future where all compulsory education will be of the Sudbury type? How could awareness about this possibility be raised among students?
I definitely do dream about a future where there's more freedom when it comes to learning, right? When it's not as dogmatized, where it's not as strict and forced, because that's just, when you force a kid into learning something, that just kills like the curiosity of like, oh, like, I want to learn this, right? If you just impose it into them, like you tell them you got to do that, it's gonna be like, really? Like, do I have to do that? Like, even if I don't like it, right? Do I really have to do that? So I definitely do dream there's a world where more people in charge of education into like more like major skills realize it, how can bring awareness if it's just talking about it. A lot of people just dismiss, and I say it in my paper, the smallest of details, the smallest of like things that can definitely affect the life of young people, right? And not for the best, but for the worst, right? Like talking about it, I feel like it could really, really help, like young people, especially young people, because like I said, like if we don't do it, no one will do it for us, right? We're the ones who are experiencing this crisis in education right now in colleges, and there's like crazy things happening right now, right? Like shutting down students for expressing themselves, right? So a lot of people have been like just fighting for that, and I'm incredibly proud, and I want to be part of that. I definitely want to be. I don't want to be one of those who just lay back and wait until something changes, because I think a lot of people just think that way, and I think that's why things don't change. So I think taking action, talking about it, be more open, don't shy away from the topic, because that just is gonna make it worse, discuss it with your classmates, with your teachers, with your parents, your family, whoever you like, it's close to you. It's a really important thing to talk about. And even the smallest of details, the smallest of things can really, really make a big change. And that's how it is Sudbury. Sudbury right now, it's kind of a small community compared to other things. But it's really changing the lives of people, right? And it starts like that. One person, and this person will tell another one, and it keeps growing and growing and going. So maybe in the near future, or not so near future, there's going to be a bigger Sudbury community, or just a bigger understanding of the truth, the actual truth, like the importance of schooling and learning, that is just not tests or grades or academics. So yeah, I think that's it.
Other questions?
I always say, when people ask me, one of my biggest lessons, I always say that the younger crowd taught me a lot. And I think it's hard to explain to people being in a community with 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. It's really people just don't understand. And I was wondering some of what you have learned from being in a very vastly mixed age community with crazy different personalities.
I think is how powerful people can be in a way. For example, there was this student that's no longer here with us, but it was my favorite one, is Hamburg. And I can truly say one of the most fun and engaging conversations I've ever had in school, it was with Henry, and he was a 5-year-old, and I was 16. We would just sit in a puzzle table. He would do a puzzle. He would just ask me questions. We're just I would paint my nails. He'd be like, oh, you painting your nails. I'm gonna paint my nails next, right? I was like, oh, that's nice. Show it to me when you're done. I never thought as a 16-year-old I would be able to, or I never thought a 5-year-old could have such an engaging conversation. I was like, you're just sitting, you're just gonna play, right? They're just 5-year-olds.
But no, actually no. And with more people, right? 10-year-olds or stuff like that, is they can actually a lot of people think you gotta be around them to make sure they don't mess up. They don't they don't do certain things. They don't say certain things. But they're pretty much capable of just realizing that themselves, right? When they mess up, they're just oh, damn, I messed up. I gotta fix that, right? And then they'll do it for themselves, right? There's times when we gotta say, hey, right? They also need that outside support and perspective of the matter, but they can do it really well themselves. They can take responsibility for that. They can direct themselves really well, surprisingly well. And I never thought until I got here, I actually never thought about young people being so responsible. If you give them the space and the time to be responsible, to take over their lives and take on the things they care about, they're going to be so good. They're going to do it so well. So actually seeing that in action for the past few years has been incredible and eye-opening, truly.
Other questions from the live audience here? Yes, a question from Nicole.
What would you say to a parent of a student who would probably, I think all students would benefit from going to a Sudbury school, but what would you say to a parent who's sort of
Doubting.
tipping, like they're on the cusp, you know, of like being convinced, but they're still not quite there, you know.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like trust your kid, you know? Like, if you actually know them, I think you're gonna trust them, right? I'm glad my mom trusted me. It has allowed me to do a lot of things. So I feel like I'd tell them to just trust. Like Sudbury is a thing of just trust the process, right? And I kind of say it in my paper is that when I got there, as a thing I did is like thinking more of what things I could do with like a lot of the time I had. I had a lot of free time, so I try to think of, oh, I could do this and that, but I didn't really do much, you know. So it's gonna happen, right? Like there's gonna be like times your kid's just gonna be playing, right, or talking, you know, not really doing academic things or what you would consider is important. But just let them explore, right? Let them find themselves, like what they find inspiring, what fulfills their curiosity and their needs, right? Because there's a lot of things in school that are just, unlike traditional schooling, that is just not gonna do that, right? There's good things from like, you know, they're gonna have like lots of friends, you know. There's gonna be certain classes they're gonna enjoy, right? There's also like other things are just, are they actually worth it, right? Is it worth it to put your child through this immense amount of stress and anxiety just to get a grade, right? Just to get this small piece of praise that's not going to last a lot, like, of time, right? You know, like it's just not letting them like truly shine, you know, do what they're good at, do what they enjoy, right? Whether they're good or bad, you know. I suck at drawing, dude. I'm so bad at drawing, but I enjoy it, right? Even though I get stressed and I rage quit sometimes, I truly enjoy that. I enjoy music a lot. I have tried to learn piano guitar, and stuff like that. And I cannot say I've got the talent or I'm naturally good at it, but I can definitely enjoy it, right? Like doing it. And I've spent my time in school doing those things. Also, like, I feel like this kind of schools like really allow people or like students see their weaknesses not as something bad, but something they can get a lot of good stuff from, right? A lot of people think of weaknesses just as something you gotta ignore, you gotta push away, and focus on your strengths. Which, yeah, I mean, you gotta focus on your strengths, but like working on your weaknesses is also gonna make do a lot for you. And I feel like I've been able to work on my weaknesses a lot, and it has like helped me grow. I feel like just and like to close off is just like give like trust, you know, trust your kid. Have patience, requires a lot of patience, and don't be scared, right? Like they're gonna do it. They're gonna like actually get what they want, if they truly want it. If they truly desire that, they'll do it. They're like fully capable of it, right? I think someone left. Like, we're good, Doc. We're still there. Yeah.
Other questions? We have maybe about 5 more minutes, and we'll wrap up. Alyssa, one of our staff members.
So, I just wanted to know if there was anything that surprised you or that you weren't expecting to come out of being a part of this type of community.
I think one of the things that surprised me, and it kind of goes along with the project, is that if I commit myself to something, I can do it really well, or I can do a good job, right? I think that's kind of one of the things that surprised me. And what surprised me the most is like I didn't have anyone on top of me telling me, you gotta do this, you gotta write. Right? It was just me. I'm the one that chose that thing to do, right? So that surprised me that I was able to do it. Because there were times I was like just in front of my computer just trying to write. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna graduate. Like, there's no way I'm gonna finish this like paper or like make it good, like make it so people can understand what I'm thinking or what I think. Like there were a lot of times there were tears of frustration writing that, because putting my thoughts into like actual things that make sense was so difficult. But I did it, right? And then also with like the position of school meeting, the things of like community, like how much they can help, right? How like just saying I can take it, I can do it myself, really did not take me anywhere, right? So I had to allow more people in the community, like Chris and staff, Abraham, Nyla, you know, like do this, like tinkle small jobs, like, you know, like help me out, help the community out, right? So getting out of that moment of like just pure frustration and like I want to rage quit my position, into like kind of breathing and seeing it, you know, from another perspective, from what people thought, what they thought they could do better, what they could do in order to help, really opened my eyes into thinking, into realizing, like I've got a lot of really nice people that genuinely care about the community and me, to one, help like grow the community, you know, into more like a better thing, and myself too. So I think those are things that really like kind of surprised me in a really nice way. Okay.
Last minute questions. Burning questions. I mean, I think you've said a lot of really wonderful things.
Thank you.
This is really beautiful. Yeah, a little tear. Do any folks on Zoom have any final questions for Alejandra? No? Just lots of great comments. That was the question they asked. So right now, will you help me hand these out? We'll hand out the QR code so you can give your feedback. And I think, Daria, if you'll drop into the chat the link for folks on Zoom to give their feedback, take some time to do that. So we'll just give everybody a little bit of time. Maybe I'll see if I can turn on music or something, and give your feedback, and then we'll, and then afterward I'll tell you what's next.